Hello, everybody. Another week of the Johnny and Gene Show, and we got a special guest I think everybody's going to like today and enjoy his story. It's an incredible journey. This is Rob, everybody, for the people that want to know who our new guest is.
Rob, okay. Rob, I wanted to kick it off with, I hear you're a military man. I want to hear a little background about that, explain to, everything about yourself.
Okay. First, thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it, and I enjoy your show. So I'm a fan too, So and you honored me by having me come on the show. I appreciate it, especially for the cause. It honored and humbled me. So I want to say I was born in Philadelphia, lived there, South Philadelphia, lived there till I was 12. And I relocated to South Florida. I wasn't in the witness protection program or anything like that, but what happened was my father, when I was at the age of 4, he was convicted of a murder. First-degree murder, was sentenced to life without parole in Trenton, New Jersey.
Right.
And basically, my father was always in the underworld. He was I guess, I don't know. He wasn't a full gangster. Would you call him a half a gangster, maybe? Maybe a quarter.
But your father was a street guy. He was in the streets, obviously.
He was a street guy, and he was a street guy, and he really wasted his potential in life because he had a lot of intelligence. He could have did a lot of good. Instead, he looked up to people like Meyer Lansky. And, oh, by the way, my father's half Jewish, so, my mother's Italian. So he, like I said, he looked up to those people instead of, judges and, firemen and all the upstanding, guys. But anyway, so he went to prison for murder. My mom, we took off, went to South Florida. I grew up in South Florida. Had a great, my mom was the best mom you could ask for. But at the same time, my father was serving time, and, my mother would always make sure that I had a relationship with my father where even when his girlfriend would pick me up and bring me from the time I was 8 or 9 to Trenton State Prison. And that was a pretty rough place. And I would go into the prison and I would see the Folger Adams keys come down from the corrections officer at the top, and they would bring me in, and I had this female, nice lady, corrections officer, black lady that patted me down and, looked in my pockets, and I had to go through a metal detector.
Right.
And I was told as a kid it was an army camp,
Yeah.
As I got older, I realized it was. And as I started watching TV and things. But I just went into that place, and I remember looking around and going, Jesus Christ, I can't believe people live in here like this. And I just, it intimidated me. That place intimidated me as a little boy, and I hated going there. I dreaded it. I would do everything and anything to get out of that weekend. And she would try to get me there like one weekend out of the month, one weekend maybe every other month. When I lived in South Florida, they'd fly me up there to go. And she always made sure that I had a relationship with him. I hated it. I didn't like going in that place. I didn't like seeing my father in that place.
Right.
While I was in that place, I'd have all these people would come up to me and tell me how much they liked my dad and how my dad was a cool guy and all this stuff. And I'm like, that's great, because I don't know who the hell this guy is. Because I'm at, 15, 16. I'm like, that's wonderful. Everybody here thinks you're a great guy, but I don't know who you are. Right. So I resented that. And I hated, just being subjected to being searched, and just like, I didn't like that. So it just stuck in my head that you either go this way in life or you go that way. I don't want to end up in this fucking place. I want to do something better. So everything he kind of did in his life, I'm going to do the opposite. That's what I programmed in my head.
So in a way, obviously, it traumatized you, where you didn't want no part of the streets, and you didn't want no part of what we and your father experienced. And, we're always talking on this show about what we experienced, me, Gene, your father. And, it's nice to hear a perspective from a kid. Well, you're a grown man, obviously, now. Mm-hmm. But as a kid's perspective, how it really affects and hurts the life of you, your mom, your family, growing up without a father, not knowing he's such a great guy. But you know, it's hard for people to understand when people say, hey, he was a great guy, but he was a killer. But you know, from a family member that loves their father and really, you know, craves having a parent, you give it to us from another perspective, which is important. This is what we want you to talk to kids about, you know, exactly what went through your mind to go see your father, just what you were explaining now.
Yeah.
All right. And what made you get into the military? What made you do that?
Well, honestly, here's what he told me. I was about 17 or 18, and I've never told anybody this, and I'm telling you this. I asked him, you know, he was born in 1936. So I do the math, and I'd be like, what happened during the Vietnam thing or the Korean thing? Did you ever get a draft? He's like, oh, yeah, I got out of that. Hell yeah, I wanted nothing to do with it. I'm like, he's like, oh, I wanted nothing to do with that place. And I started thinking, I'm like, you know, I'm watching these movies, you know, and I'm thinking, maybe if I go to a place like that and they enforce discipline in me, I'll be successful. They'll force it on me because I can't force it on myself. I'm not strong enough. I need somebody over me with a friggin', you know, a bat going, no, you will do this. And then
well, you learned discipline, obviously, because you went into the armed forces. And for the people that don't know, you became a correction officer at USP Coleman. And you also became, I believe, a black belt, right, in karate, jiu-jitsu?
Yes, I'm a brown belt with 4 stripes. I want to say I was supposed to they were supposed to make me, my made man ceremony into the black belt community was supposed to be in the summer, but I got paralyzed.
What karate were you taking? What kind? What were you doing?
Jiu-jitsu, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu.
All right, I did Shotokan for a couple of years, and I know what you mean graduating the belt. Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep.
So
I did jiu-jitsu. Huh?
So you went into every aspect of your life where you could find discipline and structure.
Oh yeah. I was a wrestler in high school. Yep.
You did this all obviously because you wanted the structure you didn't get at home. Is that right? I mean, or am I assuming that?
It was that, and more importantly, I wanted to restore honor and dignity to my family's last name. That's the God's honest truth. Because when I was in school, they called your father's a jailbird, your dad's this, he's a murderer. No, fuck that. I'm going to erase that. My kid's not going to be called that in school. They're not going to say that to him. It was demoralizing.
Wow. So what ended up happening with your military career and everything? How'd you get into like corrections? Explain that a little bit for everybody.
Oh, well, first I wanted to join the military. I went to all the different things, the different services, and you know, I was open to joining anything to get in, and it just so happened the Navy recruiter. Everyone told me about college and money and this and all this other stuff. My whole goal was just to restore the family name. And I said, when I went to the Navy recruiter, it was interesting because he didn't really tell me about the education benefits. He's like, here, you can read that in the brochure. Let me show you all the hot chicks I met throughout my travels all over the world. And he opened up this book with Polaroids. This was in the 90s, early 90s, and started flipping them through. This is Brazil. This is Sweden. I'm like, sign me up. Why not? Why not restore my family's name while same time having a great time doing it? So that's why I joined the Navy.
Yeah.
And let me ask you something.
I joined the Navy. I became a military policeman, and I got into the. I didn't join with the idea of the military police, but when I got in, it just so happened that I fell into. They kept putting me on these guard duty things, and then the military police guys would tell me, you're here longer than we are. You should put in a package to convert over. And I did, and I got accepted, and I went to the military police academy. I was the honor graduate. From there, because I was an honor graduate, they sent me to canine school, which was an additional 4 months of training, where I went and learned how to train police dogs for attack work, drug detection, bomb detection. And that's where my career started from there.
Let me ask you a question.
I spent 2 decades.
As a military man, as a policeman, as a prison guard, Tell me your perspective of men. Is, in comparison to yourself, to your father, to us guys, to guys that have been in trouble, do you look upon a guy more of a man because he's in the street, more of a man because he followed your path? Is there a difference between our personalities? How do you think kids are looking at us all? Like, who's really, how do you judge somebody's path? How are you looking at it?
Well, the first man I ever met, let me tell you about the first real man I ever met. I was in the Navy, I was young, and I had a supervisor, and he was ahead of me, but then we had a supervisor that was ahead of the whole building. And this guy would come out and berate him in front of us. You're an idiot, you're a piece of shit. This was in the night. They can get away with shit like that then. Okay, this is in the 90s, early 90s. So just berate him. And I remember one day I turned around to him. I'm like, dude, why do you take that? I would just fucking punch that guy right in the face and friggin' in the parking lot, whatever, challenge him. He's like, he looked at me and he went, because I got a wife and 2 kids I got to support. And I can't support them from the brig. That's the prison. And I went home that night and I remember what he said. And I said, oh my God, that's the first real man I ever met in my life. That's how it happened. And I knew that was the template. That was the example.
Right. In prison, when you were a prison guard, now let me jump back into USP Coleman.
Yeah. I retired from the Navy, and then I joined a month later. They were hiring. I needed a job, and I was a little too old at 38 to, I didn't want to chase, guys down. I said, okay, I know prison, I know corrections. I studied a little bit of it in the academy. I've escorted prisoners and things like that. So I said, yeah, sure.
Well, how did it feel to tell somebody, well, as a prison guard, go to work, go wake up, do whatever you're given, whatever orders you got to bark out. How did that make you feel knowing that your father was in that same position where you're telling guys, you need to do this or that, or you're just, you're the gatekeeper. So how did that make you feel knowing your father was on the other side of the fence of that?
That made me a 100% better corrections officer. A lot of corrections officers get mad when you refer to them as guards. I don't. Prison guard to me is like, I like that term, but they get offended by it. I don't know. I like it. So prison guard, whatever. I always I had empathy. I understood everything, but I also knew from being a military policeman, I also knew, and I guess I was born with it. I have a gift of gab. I can communicate with people from being in South Philly to South Florida, and multicultural than the Navy. I've been all over. I lived in Italy 5 years. I lived in Japan 3 years. I spent 2 years in the Middle East. I mean, I've been all over the world, California, Washington. I met people from everywhere, worked with them, everything. So I know a little bit about everyone's culture, Albanians, whatever. I know. So I'm able to connect with them and establish a rapport and make them feel, and just let them know, I'm not here to hurt you. I'm not here to bust your ass. I'm not here to do anything like that. You know what I mean? I'm not here to jump on you guys or anything like that. I'm not here to kick you because you've already been fucking kicked. And what kind of person kicks a guy when he's already down? You know what I mean? What kind of a fucking person does that? Not me.
Hey, what kind of penitentiary was it? Was it a wild one? Was it dangerous, that jail?
USP 1 Coleman. Right. It was wild when I got there, right. But they started shipping a lot of guys. It's all gang. I know it's not like, these other penitentiaries, but the good thing about Coleman I was at USP 1, but it's a complex. It's the largest complex in the United States. So when I do overtime, I could do overtime at the female camp, the male low, the male medium, or the USP 2, which is they put guys over 55, not actives in gangs, kind of like a
dropout yard.
Yeah,
right.
Dropout yard, exactly. Yeah. So I could do overtime there, and I would meet people from all different walks of life, famous people, things like that, and infamous people, and I was able to, meet everybody and see the different custody levels, but also see how ridiculous people are thrown in prison in this country for alligator hides and, friggin', shooting a squirrel in a federal park. Stupid stuff. And you realize this is a waste of taxpayer money.
Well, if I was in jail for shooting a squirrel, I'd have to lie and say I'm not there.
Listen to me. I'm not making this stuff up. I've read PSI.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I believe you.
Did you meet some famous gangsters while you were in the pen?
Yeah,
Guys that
I met a few. And I never had any problem with any of them, and they were all gentlemen. They were all gentlemen, and you know, I never, like I said, never had a gangsters. Gangsters don't cause you problems in prison. Yeah, gangsters don't cause you no problems in prisons. You have, you know, the lifers are your best inmates because they're home. That's where that's it. They've accepted it. They don't want to lose the television. They don't want to go on a lockdown. So they police a lot of the young guys. That's what I'm saying. If I got to the point where if I had an issue with you, I would just talk to someone in your car and say, look, man, this guy's got a real friggin' attitude. I don't want you to hurt anybody, but, you know, I don't come here to bust anybody, you know, just, you know what I'm saying? And they would get him in line. They would just say, hey, man, this guy ain't here to fuck with nobody, you know, because I'm not there to argue with them. I'm not there to fight them because you're not paying me millions of dollars. Dana White, they're not paying me to do that. Right. Rumble in the concrete, you know. Right. When I got hired, I was 38 years old, you know, and, you know, I'm old enough to know that I can't beat up everyone. And there's a lot of people, probably billions, whatever, that could, you know, they're guys that are just so dangerous, they'll kill you with their hands. I mean, there are people like that in this world.
So you're a fairly big guy. How much you weigh, Rob?
I weigh 240.
Yeah, I know you're a strong guy. You're a big guy. And you're very active. You're in shape.
I was 6'1", 240.
Yeah, and well, there's something that I don't think the people out here that are listening know about you that we're going to get into also. Not only were you growing up and raised in a prison system from your father being in jail for a murder, but you're also in the military discipline. You're also on the military side as a police officer in the military. But the biggest accomplishment I think you got, and being well-rounded, it's not your traveling, is the mindset you're a courageous guy. You're not able to walk right now, and I want you to tell some of the people what you're going through. And it's incredible, your story, and I got to tell you, I don't think there's more of a man than you all the way around since you were a kid. Somebody taught you something right, whether it was the Army, whether it was the blood of your father in you, regardless, you were understanding that. And I'm hoping you guys made peace with each other over the years. I hope so.
We hadn't spoken in 5 years until 2 weeks ago. Wow. We actually had a 15-minute phone call, just like old times.
Yeah.
You understand? So, you know what I mean? But no, I worked at the prison I retired from the Navy. I joined the prison. I worked there for 7.5 years. I was experiencing severe back pain for about 2 or 3 months. I had a slip disc in my lower back while I was in the military, but it wasn't lower pain. It was upper thoracic and back pain. I went to the emergency room several times, but, you know, they see federal employee, back pain. Hey, this guy's looking for disability. You know what I'm saying? These guys trying to build they think everyone's running a scam. So they want to push pain pills on you, muscle relaxers and all that shit that kills you and gets you addicted. And I've already seen that movie, so I'm not going down that road. You know what I'm saying? So I kept telling them my back is hurting. And they did x-rays. Nothing showed. Okay. Well, about a month after that, still in pain every day. I'm drinking a bottle of Tito's a night to get the pain, guys. Wow. When I'm coming home from work, I can't even. I'm just like the hunchback of Notre Dame. I mean, I'm bad. And finally, I woke up one morning, my legs couldn't move, and I pissed my pants.
Wow.
Couldn't move. Completely paralyzed.
How long has it been like that now?
That was November 26th of 19. Now today, you saw what I could do now. I'm standing. I'm moving my legs. I'm not standing for a long time. I'm relearning how to walk. But the fact that I got any movement back, they told me that night when I went to the hospital, the emergency room, it was this doctor, a young doctor, emergency room doctor. I had my military killed in action bracelet that I wear when I'm outside. And he had one, and he was like, oh, and we were talking. He was in Iraq too. And he was like, he just, completely stopped everything and examined me and said, get him in for an MRI. When they MRI'd me, they're like, he comes in, he goes, I got to get a helicopter and get you out of here right now. You you're going to lose everything. You lost everything from the waist. Now you're going to lose everything from the waist up. We got to get you out of here. You got a tumor, it's an abscess pushing into your spinal cord.
Wow.
And that literally an hour later, I was in surgery. Before I went in there and before the doctor put me out, he told me, listen, this is serious to the point where I don't believe you'll ever walk again, Mr. Farlow.
Wow.
And I was like, well, why are you even going to put me under anesthesia? Why don't you just kill me? I told the guy, I'm in the operating room. Yeah. They're getting ready to give me the juice. I said, then just kill me. Just give me a lot of that and put me out. Let me die on the table. And I told him that. And then he stopped talking to me and he gave me the juice and I was out.
Yeah, you're amazing. I got to tell you, you're an amazing story. One of my best friends is an Albanian. His name's Genti. He works at Jefferson Hospital. He's a neurosurgeon. I spoke to him about your case. We're going to have him on after this show because of your case. And I'm going to talk about his life story and some of the things we discussed about your case. He said and he didn't, I don't need him to tell me. You're one of the most inspiring stories I think that I've ever heard, not just in shows that we had, but you're an incredible individual. I don't think you realize how strong you are, how mentally strong you are, what you've been through in your life and what you're going through right now. And you act like it's just having a coffee in the morning. So that's really, I got to tell you, a courageous guy. And I really would commend you for the way you carry yourself. It's amazing, really.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate those words, but I really, truly don't feel that way. And I think I remember telling you, it's not so much courage, it's fear. It's fear of living the rest of my life in this damn wheelchair.
Right.
Fear.
Well, people deal with fear a little different way because I discuss being with fear. Yeah. People lay down with fear, or somebody uses it to inspire themselves. You use it to inspire yourself. Most people lay down with fear.
I use it to say, hey, it's fight or flight. You're either going to fight.
Well, the doctor said the doctor said you would never walk again, but you're walking. Yep. So
Well, Gene, I'm standing up. I can stand. I'm standing for about 30 seconds, and I'm taking with the bars, and I'm taking 1, 2, 3 steps. It's taking me some time. I mean, guys, if you're in a rush, you don't want me going to the mall with you. But right. Listen, I'm 9 months into my recovery. I'm doing things. I got all my feel, and the thing was, I had nothing for I was in the hospital 3 months, by the way.
Wow.
I had no movement for 4.5 months. And finally, when I got back to my apartment, I had this whole time, my girlfriend had to change our apartment from the top floor to the bottom floor. She had to do all this stuff. She's an angel, really. She rescued me, and to get our house ready. And I get there, there's no movement. I'm still frustrated. And I remember, I don't know, I think I ordered some food and I was eating it. It was supposed to be hot, but it was cold from the delivery thing because I had them delivered. It was like pizza or something. And I was like, damn it, this thing's friggin' cold. And all of a sudden, my little big toe on my left foot started moving.
Wow.
It's incredible.
And it started and I looked at her, I said, baby, look at this. And she saw my toe moving and she started crying. And we both started crying. It was one of the most, emotional I've ever been in my life. And from there, it just sparkled. And I was getting moving, like my left big toe, then all of a sudden my right, calf, and my right second toe, and maybe like my butt cheek. It was just in weird friggin' things. And I kept thinking, well, if this is all I'm going to get for the rest of my life, it's all mixed up. It's not even going in order. It was crazy. So you feel like you have another person living in your body, but the bottom half of it.
Wow.
But I was able, from that moment forward, from that 4.5, from the movement, a month later, now, I don't know if people know, but when you're paralyzed, you lose bowel function. Okay. So you got to have a catheter in your penis, and sometimes you have to have a tube inserted in your back because you have, you don't know when you're good. You have to pee or poop. Right. You just don't know. You have no feeling. Well, at the 5-month period, I started getting my bladder control back, where I'm able to urinate at will when I feel it. I started getting the feeling back of how, and then I started working on the control of the bladder, filling it up. And you know what I mean? Because your bladder's a muscle. You got to exercise. So I started being able to do that and feel. And then, you know, the back end started working, the muffler. And then I was like, damn, you know, I'm things are coming. People are like, my girls love it. But people, that's how I describe it. But I mean, I was like, wow. And then guess what else started working, guys? Yeah, that started working.
Well, that starts working and it makes a happy family. So.
Well, look, listen, he was working at first like he was intoxicated. You know, he would stand up and go, and I would have to guide him back. You know, so, but now I got him at full attention. I got a little help though, you know. So we got him. I mean, these are important things to a 45-year-old man.
Yeah. You ain't kidding.
And how do you know what I mean? So these are things I'm dealing with wars on multiple battlefields with my body, with myself. But you know what? It's been a learning experience to me. It's been a lesson to me in life. And I think everybody should spend a day in jail and a day in a wheelchair with no help. You'll see the world differently.
Yeah.
You know, if you really want to see what a country's all about, what's going on in the country, go through the prisons. Go through their jails.
You know what I say, Rob? And then prior to you, I've always said, I think correction officers should understand 2 weeks in solitary confinement. So they understand what those guys are going through. Guys like ourselves have been in it. So, you know, they learn. I mean, you learned because of your dad and you grew up in it, so you had empathy towards us guys. There's other guards that take advantage of some of the inmates, and there's good guards. I mean, listen, it's a human beings. Human beings will be human beings. Some are good, some are bad. And the idea is for them to understand what you're going through. And the same thing you just said about a wheelchair. I mean, we can't even imagine. I'm not going to even pretend I can imagine what you're going through, because it's on a different level. And I think the training, as far as military or you know, correction, I think they should have part of their training is to understand the, you know, what goes through an inmate's mind when they're locked in a cage like that. And it's not 2 weeks, it could be 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, or 6 months. And when they get that understanding, I think they will have a different respect for those inmates and treat them a little different. But you know, fortunately for guys, they got to deal with you because you've been through it. So, which is a big difference. And the people that are watching this, we're going to put videos up of your training, your recovery now, and also the magazines you were in the armed forces. So they can really see for themselves, like I saw, and me watching what's going on in your life, which is just incredible.
Right. And also I want to say with correction officers, a lot of them don't make it in general. They can't take the job. You know, they walk off. I did over 10 years in prison. I mean, as you probably know, I met so many COs that they couldn't last. They would leave after 6 months. They lose their families. You know, that what they're always in. It's like they're doing time. They're doing, you know, you start off with the graveyard shift. You're working from, 10 o'clock at night till 6, 7 in the morning. You got no, life basically. So that's actually not that easy, either to survive that job even,
Yeah, I think a lot of the problem is, you see people when they do hiring, I see it in the police department too. You hire people that don't live in the area, that don't come from that area, and they can't communicate, they can't connect. You understand? They come from these lily white areas, or maybe, whatever, and they're not, and I'm not making it I'm telling you, it's a cultural thing. Right. And if you don't have exposure to different cultures, I don't care what color you are, you're going to have a hard time understanding them. And if you have a hard time understanding them, you have a higher probability of fearing them. And when you fear them, you tend to attack something you fear.
I want to ask you also, when I was in the state, even some COs, don't they sleep at the jail and stay there for like 2-3 days? Because I know they were doing that in certain spots I was in. They have like a little area where they could sleep because they do like.
Well, some prisons have like officers' quarters that are outside the wall that they pay for. It's like 45. It's like whatever it is, and it's for like if you work like those weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Right, you just stay there. You don't go home. Right.
They don't. You know what I mean? Yeah, they have stuff like that at some places. Yes, but there is a high turnover rate, a high a burnout rate, and there's a high PTSD rate, a suicide rate. Everything.
That's the highest, actually. CO has the highest suicide rate.
It is the highest, exactly. And not only that, but they say that if you retire, you do that job for 20 or more years. When you retire, they only give you 10 years to live. That's the average lifespan.
Wow.
Post-retirement, okay? Now, they say that about the military, too. Well, hell, then I friggin' owe them friggin' 40 years, 20 years of my life, all right? So, but yeah, they do. But you know, I've met some wonderful people in the Bureau of Prisons. Honestly, I've met some great corrections officers, okay? I've met some that have life experiences just like mine, as far as having a family member, and they tend, and those are the ones that are successful. And we have a good crop of them in the Bureau that I've saw. Yeah, we got some shit too that we need to get rid of course. You have people that just young men that are failed football players or from college and they got something to prove, you know, so they're not going to let, you know, this Gene and John guy friggin', you know, tell me fuck off. I'm going to fix them.
Right.
You know, and those guys usually get in trouble and get run out of there.
Right.
Or they quit or put a gun to their head, you know, so. I mean, we have that too, but we have some wonderful people. We have some of the best. Like I remember, I was an all-male prison, and I know, and the women that work there as officers that last there for 20 years and stuff. You see some of these, and you're just like, I'm in awe of them. They're like my heroes. How they friggin' battled for 20 years there as a female, wearing the smock and all that, and I'm just like, I see it, and I'm like, my God. And a lot of them females, believe it or not, in these male places, they quell a lot of disturbances because when they get in the middle, it's now female in the middle and two males kind of settle down.
Right.
You know? So the question is, you know, you got to have that type of personality as a male or a female, or you're not going to last in that field. You're just not. You know, that's why you see the turnover rate. So today you got one officer, his pet peeves are this. The next day you got another one, his pet peeves are that. And the inmates are all angry because you guys need set schedules. You need routine, just like the military. I get up at 8, I do this at 9, because when you have something different, it creates stress on you guys. Because that's why it's called programming. We're trying to program you to get up in the morning, get washed, put on your uniform, iron, go to your job and work, come back, the whistle blows, the horn, come back. They're programming you, okay? Because that's what you're supposed to do in this society to be good little boys and girls. You know, you get up at 8, you go to a job. Well, you get that programming in elementary, middle school, and high school, but obviously it didn't take. So we have to redo it here.
Right.
So they're programming.
Well,
I'm just telling you what they're doing.
You're a military guy, and, you know, the military is based off of programming, structure, discipline, and structure. The Mafia is actually run off of the military, same basis through structure.
It should be run that way, otherwise it won't.
It won't operate, and that's why the downfall of the Mafia over the years. It lost it's lost its structure.
Absolutely.
It's lost its discipline, and the same thing you're teaching inmates in jail, and the way it's structured is to teach us structure when we're in there and discipline, and hopefully that builds your confidence and builds you to be a complete man. And you know, as much as people don't recognize it. But if you step back, and our message is to kids, get that structure outside the walls, not inside the walls. Because inside the walls, you're losing your life. Outside the walls, in the armed forces, which we highly respect, everybody knows how we feel about the military, that's where your structure as a man is, and to enjoy life, not to be inside the wall and have to relearn structure the hard way and lose your life at the same time.
And it's I looked at each and every. I saw the prisons. I went through it. I saw a lot of waste. I saw you know what? I saw the most wasted potential. I've met some of the most intelligent people in prison. I mean, they come up with these scams that are just on another level, man. Yeah. Okay. And I'm like, if that could have been channeled, you could have cured cancer or something. This guy could have built a rocket and went to Mars. Like that type of scams that these guys were in. I'm like, Jesus, a genius.
And also, you also meet people that you feel like they belong in here. They need to stay in here.
Oh, for sure.
You know, that's the truth. You know, sometimes,
100%. No, prisons are a necessity in this country.
Right.
And there are certain people, no matter how many chances, how many bites at the apple, they're going to end up, because they get institutionalized, and in there's somebody. Out here, they're not.
Right. Well, a lot of guys react before they think, and you gotta You got to readjust and train yourself, because I did it. I was very impulsive. He was impulsive.
Bad,
When
really
you
bad.
I
when you
was
teach
too
yourself,
when I was a kid. I was impulsive too.
well, you got to teach yourself not to be impulsive. But on the other end of the spectrum, I got to tell you the truth. I met some really nice guys in prison, and guys that are really formidably try to change their life and help young kids. When you get some young kids that come in the joint, you see all the old timers, because you've seen them in the USP.
Yeah.
Those are the guys, just what you said earlier, that the best inmates of life is because that's their home. And they try to teach kids not to be lifers like themselves. There's a lot of good dudes in there that really mean it from their heart. They went in as young guys. They know what it is. And they're talking kids out of being in the street and out of jail, in a joint. And kids really out here don't know that the old heads inside are the ones that are really trying to lecture you to change your life before you end up like me, because they know what it is. They lost their life. They're in there forever.
And also, like, it could be a double-edged sword, because like with the lifers that I knew, you had to be very careful with them, because like they're never coming home again. I was in with a lot of lifers, and they will not fight you. If it's a beef, they're gonna go to the extreme. They're gonna try to kill you. So that's why it's also, it could also be like, when you deal with the lifers, you got to know how to deal with them, because they're never going home again. Little things, if you complain about your time, oh man, forget it. They don't want to hear about that. You know, a guy doing 5, 6, 7 years, they don't want to hear about it. Don't even talk about your time. But like I said, it could be, like you said, they don't cause no problems, but when they do something, it's to the extreme. That's always how it's going to be. Right.
It is. We actually, there was a murder there right before I left. I haven't even been out a year, so I can't get into particulars and stuff. I could later after the new year.
Right.
But right now I can't. But no, we've had murders there. I was on the crime scene investigative unit there. Right. I was a self-defense instructor there. So I taught all that stuff and all that. Proper use of force. But the lifers right there. But if you're smart as a CO, you know how to work with those guys. You understand?
Right.
Because those guys are going to make you successful at your job. Just like I learned in the military. The people that are under me, I have to work hard to make sure they shine. Because when they shine, I shine. It's not about me. It's about the guy under me and teaching him or the girl and teaching them how to take my job, how to do my job.
Well, jail's one thing, though, is one thing on both sides of the spectrum. For inmates, for young inmates, for lifers, for guards, is one word that can sum it all up: respect. If you're not showing respect in jail, you're not lasting in prison.
No.
I want to ask you.
Not even as an officer.
No. I want to ask you. I want to ask you something. Was there ever a time where you were in there and you ran into somebody with a crime where you're like, I wish I could fucking put my hands on this guy? Did you ever have that run across your mind? Because I know a lot of COs that they used to be like, man, I swear I would love to,
When I did, that's when I stopped reading PSIs.
Right, because I know someone can get real heinous and real bad. I know. And it messes with you.
I bumped into that at the Low institution.
Right.
There.
Well,
I remember making them stand count. And I'll tell you the story. I'm not going particulars, but I remember there was a certain person that was standing a certain way that I knew they were in the military. And these camps have these, sleeping bay, like army barracks, not cells. So counting them are really hard because you're going left to right. So I'm seeing, and they got I don't know, they might got 150 people in there. So I'm going left to right, and I just remember seeing a guy standing a certain way, wearing his pants creased. You can cut your fingers on him. You understand? I mean, everything. And I finished the count, called it in, walked right back to him. I said, what branch were you in? He said, I was in the Marine Corps for 24 years. I said, oh, what the fuck are you doing here? I pulled him aside. I was like, which you're not supposed to do. Like, you don't do that. Right. But I had to ask him. I had to. And it was like, I retired and I started getting into gun sales, selling gun. I'm like, God damn it. I'm like, fuck. And then he's like, I only got a couple years. And I'm like, all right. So then I go back, and it just so happened later on that night.
It wasn't gun sales.
Trust but verify. Trust but verify.
All right.
He was in the Marine Corps for 26 years, but he wasn't dealing guns.
Right. I already know.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I already know. Yeah.
Okay. So
well, in the low units, they're known for a lot of child molesters. In Florida, Florida pretty good because I was there at Falkenberg. they got a whole set new wing they built for child molesters.
It's the biggest
because there's so many of them. And you know,
the BOP's doing that too.
Yeah.
Tucson.
Yeah. And you know, these guys, if you get a hold of them, which we did a couple of them, you know, you're hurting them bad.
You get in big trouble for it.
Yeah.
You get in big trouble for it now. It's a hate crime.
Yeah.
They charge it as a hate crime now.
They actually protect them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Insane.
Yes, you will be. Yes, you will.
I was with a guy that he actually raped a 2- and 3-year-old boy and girl, his best friend's kids, and it's no secret. I put a mop handle across his head, and you know, obviously I got caught right there. You know, the units are all camered up, but you know, those are crimes that the COs work in the unit. They want to look the other way too because they want to do the same thing.
They do.
You know, it eats at them also. So, you know, these are babies that they're raping.
Statute of limitations are up, John. We'll talk.
Yeah. So, you know,
we'll talk.
No one's ever
going
to. Yeah. I mean, listen, everybody has the same feeling on these kind of guys. So,
right.
And that's when if I did overtime, especially at that particular spot, I didn't read anybody's jacket. I didn't, you know, because I'm an investigative person. I was an investigator in the Navy too. And I investigated for the Admiral 6th Fleet. Okay, I was their you know, investigator, their command investigator, and that's all of Europe. So that was one of my final duties. I'm investigative. That's just how I am. I'm actually a licensed private investigator in the state of Florida.
All right.
So when I have a conversation with someone, I background them real quick. I mean, because it's so easy now. I'm not saying I'm looking for something, but if you tell me you went to college, like I fact check it. You know what I mean? Just like people fact check what I'm saying.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, you know, and just to see who you're talking to, you know? So, you know, and you know, certain guys' crimes are public record, period.
Yeah. They had a running joke when we were in a joint, and the guys that were in it would know, you know, I got people in my family, including myself, that were, you know, molested, raped, and they used to joke around because I heard a couple of these guys, and but they didn't know the background story, and they used to call us PPP, Porn Police Patrol. In other words, if we found out who it was, they were getting hurt. So, you know, it was a joke, and I'd laugh with them, but they didn't know the background that I was raised in. So I took it very personal when I ran into these guys. And, you know, the ABs are known for killing them, and butchering them in the joint. So, you know, they didn't get it as bad from guys like me, but they got hurt from me.
Yeah.
They beat the shit out of that Larry Nasser guy in Coleman.
Yeah,
they did.
Yeah.
They did.
That was in the newspaper, but
They got the Subway guy too. The Subway guy, the one that does the Subway commercials.
A couple of guys got it. What's his name? The serial killer. They butchered him and they killed him. And
oh man, you talking about Jeffrey Dahmer?
They got him twice actually.
They beat him with a weight. They got him bad.
You know, these guys, they get him. We had a guy in Camden County. I don't remember his name, but we got him in Camden on the 5th floor. If you're on 5 in Camden, you know you're in serious units. Yeah. And we got a hold of a guy there too. Same thing. He raped 3 kids, I think, and they let him out by accident, and that was it. You know, so a lot of these guys won't last long. Yeah. You know, it depends who's working the unit. It was his accident on purpose. We know that.
Hey, some COs go, I got to use the bathroom. I'll be in there for a while. Yeah. Just mop them up.
Well, I have diverticulitis, so I was in the bathroom. I had to go to the I'm kidding. But, you know, it's true. No, it's true. It's you have to treat people with respect, and you will get it 99.9% of the time. That's what I would tell any cop today. That's what I would tell any corrections officer today. Just treat someone with respect, give them what they got coming, leave them the fuck alone.
Right.
And you know what I'm saying? And trust me, when there's a knife or anything in that unit, a lot of times the inmates want that knife out of there too, from what my experiences, because it could have their name on it.
Yeah.
You understand?
Absolutely.
So they don't want, if you know, you gotta a DC guy, DC black that has a knife, or and the white guys, they know he's a stabber or whatever. I'm not saying they'll dime him or whatever, but they want that friggin' knife out too. All of a sudden you have maybe a certain car's got a bunch of knives or whatever. They drop a note. Yeah. I mean, they don't put the name on it. I mean, they don't want that freaking weapon in there either, because they think maybe that's my experience.
Yeah, well, the guys and you said DC because years ago they shut down Lawton and they moved all these guys around, and the DC dudes get down. Everybody knows that. So if you get on the wrong side of one of those dudes, they get busy. And there's certain areas and certain joints that everybody knows who gets busy. It's no secret in it. Inside
those
joint,
ABTs and those guys are like, those guys are not the ABTs. I would say that they're Donald Trump, but they're good businessmen. But they've completely, how they do the stamps in the yard, the stamps, the currency. Okay. Well, they completely manipulated that currency like they were friggin', what's his name? The fucking guy from, what's his name? The guy they put in jail? I forget his name. The guy swindled everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Mayo.
They manipulated the stamp currency.
Well, you're from Philly, so I was good friends with the Junior Black Mafia guys. I was with Ricky Jones and those guys, and I know
we had a couple of them. We had a couple of them that were with Bonnie Sapp, those big guys.
Yeah. I was friendly with all those guys. I know them, and Ricky was a good dude, really. His brothers were. So, people that don't know, these guys were good guys, man. And, people will say to you, how can you talk about certain guys like, well, people knocked me too, same thing, because I was violent. But that doesn't make you your personality on the street is a different thing than your everyday interaction with people and your respect in jail. You got respect for most guys in jail if you're a jailer. If you're a jailer, you understand jail. And the young kids, they learn it fast.
It's like with me. Before you meet me, everyone be like, "Oh, that kid's this. He's a piece of crap." And then when everyone meets me, they like me. So it's like it's, I'm called every name under the sun, but then when they meet me, they like me. So
And you said something too on one of your shows, Gene. That really, I'm half Italian. Italian people and Jewish people get along with everybody. I noticed that. We walk around everybody. We navigate. Everyone nobody really gives you, because I spoke Italian. I lived there 5 years in the Navy, so I spoke it. It was my mother's language.
Right.
So I wanted to speak that, my grandmother's language. I wanted to honor them by speaking the language. Now, the first 2 years I spent in Sicily, that's a different language than Naples. You understand? So when I came home after 2 years in Sicily, I had a slang to me So, but then I went to Naples for 3 years, and that's I love the language, and I love Spanish too. Now and when I got home, I completely ingrained myself in Spanish, and because I wanted to be able to communicate with Spanish inmates. Not only that, but I want to know what people are saying when they think I don't know the language.
Is that why you got a Spanish girl now? Your girl's from Colombia, right? Colombian. Yeah.
Listen, I got a Colombian fiance. I imported her. Okay?
Let me ask you a question. When you came from Sicily, they weren't too happy, the other Italians, right? They really don't like too many Sicilians over there, right? When you go to the different parts.
It's not that they don't like them.
Because I'm all Sicilian. That's what I am. I'm mostly Sicilian.
Yeah. No, if you showed up in Rome, they would be like, "Oh God, here they come," like the hillbillies. It would be like that. If the Neapolitans show up in Rome, they're like, they steal. Don't buy anything from them on the side of the road. I mean, this is what Italian people tell.
Right.
Common grace people are hard-headed. They'd say testadura. They would say that. It's just they have their own little, just like America, got people from Alabama or country. Everyone has that,
Right. And my kids are half Italian, but, so they say that about, I lived in Africa for a while because I had a lot of friends. I had a lot of friends. Listen, personalities are where the way you were raised by your mom or your dad, your environment. I talk about zip codes all the time. And, when I went to certain areas, depending on where I went, how comfortable I was in the company, it depends on how you grow up. So, I grew up in a mixed neighborhood. I always talk about it. And, so to me, people joke and they say, they know because of my situation, mob related. You don't really like Italians. My best friends are Italian. My kids are Italian.
Right.
That's nonsense.
Right. You grew up around Italians
my whole life. But I love when people say it to me. I just like good people, man. So if they're good people, they're good people. So, when I traveled all over. So, I know multiple cultures. And life's about personalities. If you respect someone, and I keep saying the same thing, Jail Street, respect. You respect the next individual, you'll like those individuals.
Right.
Listen, there's nothing worse than going to Italy, telling them you're Italian on, half of your Italian, and then ordering cappuccino at breakfast. You're going to get looked at like you're a dirtbag. You're going to be like, what? That's not a breakfast, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You're like, whoa,
The whole country eats dinner at 2:00, okay?
If you think you're going to pay an electric bill from 12 noon to 2 o'clock, it's called Reposo. That is like 2 hours off. Yeah. You will see the cops drinking wine.
That's right.
At some cafe, like literally, from 12 to 2, that country stops, man. That's their break.
Yeah, try Albania. In Albania, it stops from the minute you wake up until 6 o'clock. We stay in cafes all day. Yeah. Nobody wants to talk.
Listen, their lifestyle, we want to do everything fast. They do everything just the right speed. They live longer, they're happier. Yeah. Go figure.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, it's all where you're from. Like I said, you got to, and that's why I traveled a lot of places. Being in the Navy, I got to learn, about everybody. So, I could, like, not how many people know Mother Teresa was Albanian? I know that.
Yeah, well, you know that. Not too
many. I've been there. I said she's the most famous person.
We know, right?
Next to you, she's the most famous person to come out of there.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Well, next to John, she's the most famous to come out of there. Right? So
Joe DiMaggio.
Yeah.
He was Albanian?
Yeah.
Half, right?
Yeah.
He was?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Oh, that's probably why Marilyn Monroe dumped him.
Yeah. Robert De Niro claims he's half, but I'm going to denounce Robert De Niro.
God.
I like him as an actor, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think he's. No, I think he's German and Italian.
Well, he says he goes on. He says
he was Irish.
He does a video. Says he's part of.
My grandfather used to go, "He's not Italian. He's 75% German." I used to go, "You sure?" I goes, "Yeah, all right."
So let me ask you, what was the magazine?
When I learned Marlon Brando wasn't Italian at all.
Yeah.
That threw me through a loop.
Yeah. Well, even the kid from Bronx Tale, the one who played.
Yeah, he's Colombian.
He's not Italian at all.
Oh, I didn't know that. He's back out doing a circuit now.
He was adopted. Yeah, he's Spanish.
Let me ask you a question. What's the magazine you did? You did a cover of a magazine in the forces. What was that magazine?
It's Stars and Stripes. I was on the cover in 2005. I was deployed there with a bomb detection dog for the elections.
Okay.
And I was the part of the original first, I think there was 25, maybe 30 in 2005 before the elections, actual Navy dog handlers that deployed in combat since Vietnam. We had Navy dog handlers in Vietnam. They used to go with the Marines and the Army and go out with scouting dogs and things like that to find the Vietnamese soldiers that were in the tunnels, because the dogs can send them out.
Right.
And we were the first ones to redeploy to a combat zone. I was part of the original. I was stationed in Japan at the time. They asked for volunteers. I had a bomb detection dog that was damn good. And there was guys in the kennel that had kids. I didn't have any kids or anything. And I said, I'll do it. And it was a 7-month. And I went with the Army, and I was with the 101st Airborne Corps and the 3rd Infantry Regiment, 3rd Infantry 7th Regiment, I think, out of Fort Stewart. And I just ran missions with them through infantry missions where I did bomb detection and looked for people. We were looking for people that were kidnapped. We were going door to door for searches. My dog detects weapons, gunpowder, everything.
Wow.
So we were doing all that work, building up to the elections, and I got to sit there and witness them vote for the first time. Democracy, actually have a democracy vote for the first time, and it was historical, and I watched it.
Hey, I want to ask you something. With those dogs, they could smell a body 3 feet underground, right?
It could probably, depending on how long the guy's been there, it could be deeper than that.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. That's
you
right.
rot, your scent gets stronger, permeates.
Smell underground. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep. They could smell dead bodies. I mean, depending on how big the guy was, what he ate after he starts just crumbling away, disintegrating into the earth. The odor stays there for a long time. I couldn't even tell you, but it's very, very, very long.
Wow.
And the analogy we used to give when I went through canine school that they gave us was if Gene walked onto a football field and went to the end zone and cried one tear, my dog could be at the other end zone and he'll smell and he'll know the difference between John's tear and Gene's tear.
Wow.
Yeah, that was the analogy they gave us when I was a student, and they said that's his limit. That's the limit on what we could think to give it to you to make it simple.
Wow.
It's probably more than that.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's like a great white shark. A drop of blood they could smell from a mile away.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, sharks in
And
the
it's
water.
not.
That's why I
It's
don't
not
go in the water.
necessarily.
Yeah, one drop they could smell from a mile away.
Yeah. But you got to remember, it's not necessary. See, people think it's just the amazing part is it's not just the blood. Now they can discriminate the difference between your blood and his blood. That's the $1 billion trick. Man.
That's amazing.
So that one time a month is not a good idea to go in the ocean with your girl. That was it.
Listen,
Because there isn't going to be no
dogs.
Titanic with me. I'll be kicking her away.
We had a dog. We had a dog in the airport that used to respond on women if he smelled their crotch. I'm telling you, we used to have to keep him away because he would try to pull. And he responded on a sex toy one time. We evacuated the whole airport.
Really?
Completely. We got literally, this is like 1,000 people we evacuated.
Oh,
and when we opened that, after he kept responding on it, we had the friggin' bomb techs opening the suitcase. And when they saw what was in that thing,
Hey, imagine if you're the woman and you're like probably want to die. You wanna know,
oh my
this
God,
dog's gonna find me.
It was a couple. It was a couple, and they were humiliated.
Oh, I guess so.
We got it.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah. They were humiliated.
So let me
And
ask
one time
Let me ask you a question. So how many years? I just
Dude.
want to wrap something. How many years were you working corrections?
7.5 years.
And how many years in military?
20.
Wow.
And now about a year going through your rehab?
9 months.
Oh, a year. I mean, it's about a year. So you got almost
Well,
30.
to me, see, a year is very personal to me because I'm going to tell you why. They say everything you're ever going to get back, you're going to get within the first year to maybe 15 months.
But I'm going
So
to tell you
year-
something, my own personal opinion. I don't care what they say. I know your personality for a while now. We're always talking. And I think you're going to do whatever you want to do. I really mean that. I wouldn't say that to you because I've seen you got a really amazing fucking story. And you're not the typical guy just laying around saying, I can't do it.
Right.
That's not your personality.
Hey, what does a gambler do? He plays the odds, right? You got to know the odds.
Yeah, but I think you're going to beat the odds, whatever they are. I don't
Always
think
bet
the odds
on me,
matter.
I guess.
Yeah,
right?
I bet on you now that I know you're pretty
Wesley
good.
Snipes say, always bet on black.
Yeah,
Always.
that's right.
Matter of fact, speaking of that, I bumped into an officer one time. He transferred. He was from Cumberland. I'm like, he goes, oh yeah, I used to see Blade. I used to count Blade all the time in the count.
Right.
You know, because he did his time in Cumberland.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, Wesley Snipes. Yes.
Wow.
He did his time in Cumberland.
Didn't they try to get him on tax evasion or something?
They got him on tax. They didn't
They did.
try.
He
They
did.
did.
Wesley,
Yeah, but he said I ain't paying
Listen,
no tax. I don't blame him.
that's one of my favorite actors.
That's
all
one
right?
of- yeah, so do
Wesley
I. I
Snipes
like
is one of my
Wesley Snipes,
favorite,
too.
bro. He's a
Hey,
real
man,
martial art expert too. He's no wannabe
Yeah,
karate
no,
guy.
he's legit.
He's legit.
He's legit. I'm not
Yeah,
a
you
real
can see
karate
that.
guy.
This
No,
is
he
like
got
sign
awards
up.
and everything. He's a real karate guy. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, when you tell the federal government you don't think you should pay taxes, you know that pisses them
He
off.
made $100 million off that movie. Something
Well,
like that.
I want to
would
know
think
what. I still keep asking the same question. I want to know what they're doing with all the tax money if they close down schools, because they're charging everybody for those school money. So where's
Well,
the tax
I got
money
a better
going?
question. What are they doing with all this money they get in seizures when they seize $1 billion worth of cocaine, $1 billion in cash?
Why-
Where the fuck's that money going?
Don't they reuse it though? To like.
I don't know.
Do they really? Show me paperwork.
I don't know. Hillary Clinton looks like she's got some
He
nice
might have
houses.
reused it. Yeah.
What do they say
I want
when
to see
you
if
come
she
off
has
the
that
bus?
bag, that Hamas bag.
What do they say when you come off the bus? Show me your fucking paperwork.
Yeah.
I want to see.
Yeah.
Yep.
Show me the paperwork.
Yep. Now that's a crime. I heard you can't extra paperwork no more in the yard.
What?
In
Really?
In the yards
Well,
now.
okay,
Listen,
well,
I
I
know,
mean-
but if you extra somebody's paperwork now, they say you go to the hole. Yeah.
Probably. I could see that. I could see them cracking down on that.
Yeah.
You know, I could see it. You
Yeah.
know, but it's not like I can't remember your name and call my mother
Oh,
or
of
my
course.
sister.
I didn't know
Well, a lot
time.
of guys come in with fake paperwork
Yeah.
If you're
too.
a sex offender, it's going to come up.
Oh.
And that's what they do.
Right. Some of these guys type their own paperwork, make it. I seen it all. Believe me, I
know,
seen all the tricks.
I've seen a couple paperworks that were forged.
I don't think they let it on the compound more. They don't let you send it in anymore.
I know if you actually.
I don't know. They
I
might
know
have
for a
cut. I've
fact.
been
I
out,
think they
I've been
cut
out
that
9
out.
months.
If you ask for paperwork now on a compound, you get in trouble for it. You can't.
Yeah, but I don't think you can bring it in with you anymore. I don't think you can mail it in.
No, you can't even
They
bring it in
used to
anymore.
give it to you. You had to carry it.
Right, you had to carry it. They stopped
that. No more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know, but I know one thing. This movement, because you guys talk about current events, but this movement for defund the police, these kids got their energies in the wrong, focused on the wrong thing.
Hey, well, I'm going to tell you now, you got to watch where you go with this. And one of our producers is here is Josh, because he knows I go crazy on this thing. He's got to throw me out. Josh got to hit me over the head with something.
No.
Josh, tell him.
It's not. They shouldn't be trying to defund the police. You want to defund the prosecutors. Those are the ones that got too much power in the criminal justice system. Those are the ones that make deals with unsavory people and all kinds of stuff. And with the citizens, see, I'm more surprised at what people don't know about what goes on in the prison systems. Not so much as what they do know, it's what they don't know.
Well, you know,
they're under the
average
impression that all of you guys are murderers, rapists, and child molesters. Yeah, that's what they think.
Yeah, because
they don't realize
because the average citizen doesn't have the exposure. They don't even know.
No.
It doesn't touch their life. You know, you grew up a certain way because your father. He grew up a certain way because his family. I grew up because of the neighborhoods I grew up in. But we're not the average everyday case. So, you know, the average cases are, they're not even exposed to anything. They're kind of real naive. Unless you're involved in our inner cities and the streets, you're really not going to understand a lot of this.
Yeah, and even in certain states like Florida, where you're from, you probably know it. If you tell somebody, I'm going to shoot you, that's a terroristic threat. Can't you be locked up for that right there?
Oh, all I know is another thing you said. Florida really goes to
they're the worst.
Extreme.
He knows and I know. Believe me, they're horrible. Especially
with juveniles. They convict 12-year-olds of felony, like aggravated battery for smacking a kid in middle school. They put a felony on a kid for that?
They're bad, Florida. Listen, I always tell everybody, listen, it was on my wiretaps. I said it when it's open. I says, listen, don't mess around in Florida. They will put you away forever. They do not play games down there.
Crazy. There's so many crimes that if you commit in Florida as a felony, you go any 49 states, they're not.
They're not.
They're just
They only have
crazy.
1, 2, and 3, and 1 holds natural life in prison. And it could be an armed robbery. If you blow trial to an armed robbery, it's natural life in prison. That's insane.
Exactly. They don't realize that these clowns write these laws. These lawyers write these laws. They make them so ambiguous that anybody can get convicted. I read a great book about a year ago, John, 3 felonies a day. Read that book. I recommend it.
Yeah, I will.
You ever heard of it?
No, I never heard of it, but I will read it. I read a lot. So
look it up. The average American unwittingly commits 3 felonies a day without even.
Well, I think I broke that record. I was doing about 6 felonies.
Gene, you had a better batting average than everybody. You had a better batting average than anybody. But yeah, the average. Okay? You're bad. You guys threw 400 hitters. Man.
I think it was
like Williams.
I think we could have. Wow. I think it was just all day. Oh man, it was bad. Yeah. All right. Well.
Hey, so let me ask you a question. Are you doing anything where anybody can reach you? Do you want them to reach you? Is there any contacts?
I would love to do if somebody wants me on their show, John, listen, if you guys got my contact, they can contact the John and Gene Show or the consigliere there. The brain.
The brain?
Yeah.
Felix Levine right now is he's at training now.
Yeah.
He's at Army training.
I couldn't believe he was 20. I'm talking to him. I thought I was blown out of my mind when
I didn't find out his age till 3 weeks ago. I thought he was 30 years old.
Oh, he's seriously, he's a very intelligent kid. And we told everybody on the last show he's at prison. This week we said he's at a boot camp. So every week we're going to say something different about him. He's really a smart guy.
He is.
Kid.
So intelligent, man.
Very pleasant.
Oh, man, he's going to be somebody. 100%. Definitely. There's no doubt.
Yeah, when you see him walking as he gets older and we get older, we're going to hold on to each leg of his. Because we're going where he's going. Because he's going somewhere.
No, man.
He's definitely going somewhere good. He's successful. He's going to be successful.
No, we got to swipe him. Swab him. DNA and you. I know where he's from. You know what I'm saying? I know my own. So I know where he's from. Yeah. So he was like, then there's a girl he does an interview with that looks like his twin that he should marry.
Right.
I don't know who that is, but
ask him. He'll tell you. Okay. I told him that.
All right.
She looks just like him. Perfect. Little Jewish girl from New York. Perfect. You should make a mitzvah with those two. Put them together.
All right, brother. We got to wrap it up. But for the people,
All right.
It was great having you on. For the people that want to reach me, it's John Alite officially is the Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I have a website, www.johnalite.com. And we have the Johnny and Gene show. You can look us up on YouTube. And Gene, you got?
Yeah, you can reach me on my Instagram, GenieBoy666. I know everybody keeps telling me to change it, but I'm not going to. My grandfather gave me that nickname. So that's, you can reach me there, Johnny and Gene Show Instagram. And,
Anybody that wants to reach Rob, you can reach him through me. And,
Reach him through John. Yeah,
and anybody want to know on his update, how he's doing, how's his progress, you can reach through me. And me and Rob will always be talking. So it was really, I got to tell you the truth, for the kids that are watching this, you really are somebody they need to look up to.
Definitely.
And you got a hero's life all the way since you were a kid up. So yeah, really commendable, and that's no bullshit. You really had a
well, I
hard life in a lot
appreciate
of
that,
ways.
guys. I really do. And like I said, I'm looking for my second act now in life. You know, I'm retired, so I'm looking. You know, I don't know. So if someone wants me to come on the pod, I would love to do. This has been very fun.
Well, you'll come back with us anyway. And,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Definitely, anytime, guys. Anytime. You guys can ask me for anything except money. I don't have it.
my buddy runs a show. I Got You Six. Brian Bash show for people that don't know him, and you'd be a good fix with him or a Navy SEAL.
Perfect.
I just did something with Steve. He's another great show, and these guys are combat vets, and a lot of props to these guys too. I got a lot of respect for you guys, and my buddy Lance.
Hey, let me tell you, them Navy SEALs, I knew enough about myself to know I never wanted no part of that.
Yeah.
Right.
Because those guys are.
No, he's a
Those
serious,
guys are truly the real deal.
Yeah, Steve is a real deal
and they're so
guy.
Quiet,
and,
you'll never. You're, oh my God.
yeah, gentleman,
so
he is. Gentleman,
crazy.
pitbull, really. I got a
Crazy.
lot of respect for him. All right, Rob, it was great
All right, man.
having you.
Thanks, guys.
All right,
Take
guys.
care, buddy.
I'll see you.